Nice to see you all. Um, I'll just wait. We got one more minute. I want to share my Shakyamuni Buddha. This one, it's actually, back in the day, Lama Zopa Rinpoche was handing out a lot of these. This is the Buddha from that's in Bodh underneath the stupa there. That's quite a beautiful one. You really get the sense of it kind of glowing. Anyway, so now we're doing we'll be doing this is a visualization meditation. And then the last meditation will be a purification meditation. We'll do Vajrasattva and also visualization with mantra. So now we're introducing mantra. Mantra means mind protection. And we're doing visualization here. So let's again just settle to a nice, comfortable seated posture. Feet, if your feet need to be down, have them about a hip's width apart. Shoulders align with the hips, and imagine your spine. There's this beautiful string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And just relax your body. Your hands can be resting comfortably in your lap. If the mantra isn't familiar to you, you can just allow it to flow through, allow it to wash over you. Let's start with a little refuge prayer. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. So again, generate this idea of compassion, wishing for, all sentient beings to be free from suffering. And reflect just a little bit on the predicament of all beings, their wish to experience true happiness and their inability to obtain it, their wish to avoid suffering, and their continual encounters with it. So we think, in order to help all beings and lead them to this perfect peace and happiness of enlightenment, I myself must attain enlightenment, and for this purpose, I shall practice this meditation. So now imagine, every aspect of this visualization, of this image in front of you, is made of light, transparent, intangible, and radiant. And at the level of your forehead, between 6 and 8 feet away, is a large golden throne adorned with jewels and supported at each of its 4 corners by a pair of snow lions. And these animals are, in reality, manifestations of bodhisattvas and have white fur and a green mane and tail, also made of light. On the flat surface of the throne is a seat consisting of a large open lotus and 2 radiant discs representing the sun and the moon, one on top of each other. And these 3 objects symbolize the 3 principal realizations of the path to enlightenment: the lotus renunciation, the sun emptiness, and the moon bodhicitta. And seated upon this is the Buddha, who has attained these realizations and is the embodiment of all enlightened beings. And his body is made of of this beautiful golden light radiating out. Well, they say if you're actually to see the Buddha in front of you, the light emanating from Shakyamuni Buddha is so bright you would barely be able to look at it. And he's wearing these beautiful robes. They do not touch his body, but they're separated from it by about an inch. He's seated in the Vajra, or full lotus posture. The palm of his right hand rests on his right knee, so down, and the fingers are touching the moon cushion, signifying his great control. And Buddha's left hand rests in his lap, palm facing upwards in the meditation pose, holding a bowl filled with the nectar. And this is medicine. Meditation is medicine for curing our disturbing states of mind and our hindrances. And Buddha's face is very beautiful. His smiling, compassionate gaze is directed at you and simultaneously all these people of your life, every single sentient being. No judgment, no critical thought. He's accepting you exactly as you are. However it is you're turning up today, it's all fine, it's all good. He has these beautiful eyes. You often see them depicted. They're long, shaped like lotus petals. He has these cherry red lips, and the lobes of his ears are long. His hair is blue-black, and each hair is individually curled to the right and not mixed with the others. Every feature of his appearance represents an attribute of his omniscient mind. And imagine rays of light emanate from every pore of Buddha's pure body and reach every corner of the universe. And these rays are actually composed of countless tiny, tiny Buddhas, some going out to help living beings and others dissolving back into his body, having finished their work. So really try and feel the living presence of the Buddha and take refuge in him, recalling his perfect qualities and his willingness and his ability to help you. So make a request from your heart to receive the blessings of the Buddha to help you become free from all of your negative energy, your misconceptions, and all of your other problems, and to receive all the realizations of the path to enlightenment. And imagine your request is accepted and a stream of purifying white light, which is in the nature of the enlightened mind, flows from Buddha's heart and enters your body through the crown of your head. So, as we say every night in our Vajrasattva, you walk into a room, it's pitch black, you flick on the switch, and the light that comes instantly dispels the darkness. So same here. The moment the light from Shakyamuni Buddha's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of your negative energy is dispelled upon contact with this radiant white light. So we'll recite Buddha's mantra like 7 times and just allow this light to flow into you, purifying you. Udaya Tao Muni Muni Mahamunaye Sohan Taya Tao Muni Muni Mahamunaye Sohan Taya Tao Muni Muni Ma Munaye Soham Taya Tao Muni Muni Ma Munaye Soham Taya Tao Muni Muni Mahamunaye Soham Taya Tao Muni Muni Mahamunaye Soham Taya Tao Muni Muni Mamunaye Soham. And just feel that all your negative energy, all your problems, subtle obscurations have been completely purified, and your body feels blissful and light. So we'll concentrate on this for a minute or so. Now, this time, imagine a stream of golden light descends from the Buddha's heart and flows into your body through the crown of your head. And the essence of this light is the excellent qualities of Shakyamuni Buddha's pure body, speech, and mind. I didn't mention this earlier, but if you have a teacher, you can imagine that this is the mind of your teacher as well. Makes it just a little bit more personal. So one of the things that they say in the text that Buddha is able to do is transform his body into different forms, animate and inanimate, to help living beings according to their individual needs and their particular states of mind. And with his speech, he can communicate different aspects of the Dharma simultaneously to beings of various levels of development and be understood by them in their respective languages. So, Buddha was giving teachings to large groups of people, back in the day, and they didn't have microphones then. So just think about that for a moment. His mind, omniscient mind, sees very clearly every atom of existence and every occurrence, past, present, and future. And he knows the thoughts of every living being. Such is his awareness in every moment. So, I mean, these things sound a little bit extraordinary, and they are. And if you've ever spent any time around any of the holy beings, and they do sometimes display some interesting qualities that you wouldn't normally expect from a human being. This is just the blessings of their practice. So imagine these infinite good qualities flow into every part of your body and concentrate on this blissful experience as we again recite the mantra. Om Jaya Tao Muni Muni Maha Munaye Soha Taya Dao Muni Muni Ma Munaye Sohan 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 Taya Dao Muni Muni Ma Munaye Sohan. And now imagine you've received all these infinite excellent qualities of Buddha's holy body, holy speech, and holy mind. And your body feels light and blissful. And now imagine the 8 snow lions absorb into the throne into the lotus, and the lotus into the sun and the moon. And they in turn absorb into the Buddha, who comes to the space above the crown of your head and just melts into light and dissolves into you through the crown, into your body. And just imagine your ordinary sense of I, that I that is unworthy and burdened with faults and all of your other wrong conceptions disappear completely. In that one instant, you become one with the Buddha's blissful, omniscient mind in the aspect of vast, empty space. So here, try and bring back this image of the sky that we meditated on earlier. And concentrate on this experience for a couple more minutes, 3 more minutes, allowing no other thoughts to distract you, but the mind will travel, guaranteed or not. And if your mind does travel, just very gently bring it back to the breath. Just expand your mind. So perhaps don't think of this meditation as one that you've not really helped anyone, because you're not enlightened, and how is this all possible? This practice is known as bringing the future result into the present path. So it's the same idea as the meditations we do in the morning when we do the deity meditations, Tara, Medicine Buddha, Chinrezig. And it's a powerful cause for your own enlightenment. Helps us develop innate conviction in our own perfect qualities, our own Buddha potential. And then what we've just done in our meditation, we will accomplish one day. So let's just dedicate again all the merit, all the positive energy we've created, any insights we may have had doing this meditation to your eventual attainment of enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, everyone. As much as you can, try and stay in retreat mode. We will have another 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and do our Vajrasattva meditation. Okay, and Shayla, you have all the materials there, right? Vajrasattva, yep, on your computer. Okay. Okay, everyone. I'll see you in about 10. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So just settle back into a nice, comfortable seated posture, both feet flat on the floor. Really try and feel the sensation of the soles of the feet on the floor, the side of the foot, the big toe mound, the little toe mound, all of your little toe pads. Feel the weight of your sits bones in your chair. Shoulders aligned with the hips and the ears aligned with the shoulders. And imagine your spine is this beautiful string of pearls of light, stretching from the base of the spine all the way up through the crown of the head. Some space in between those vertebrae. Take a nice deep breath. Just be aware of any sensations of the crown of the head. And relax your scalp, your forehead, eyes, eyebrows, eyelashes, the back of the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, the mouth, the jaw, back of the tongue, your ears and your inner ears, the back of the head and the neck. And allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to just drop down, relaxing the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. And just breathe. Notice the breath sensations as you inhale and exhale. Slightly cooler as you breathe in, slightly warmer as you exhale. Be aware of any sounds in your environment. Just allowing those sounds to be there, trying not to investigate with the mind. And notice the thoughts that are arising in the mind. So as I said earlier, I have this attitude of curiosity and observation. So when you're observing your mind, stick to the facts. We're already complicated enough. So whatever's arising, just look at it and go, oh, there I am planning my shopping list. Oh, here I am ruminating or thinking about what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Or it could be just as simple as, oh, I'm thinking. And then just allow yourself to release those thoughts, mainly by not following them. We just get involved in a story, we want to run off with it before we know what we're in Timbuktu and we have no idea how we got there. So constantly bringing yourself back to your breath, to your core, to your feet, keeping yourself grounded. Just notice throughout the meditation, throughout your practice, when the mind starts to travel, and just very gently bring it back to the breath. So now bring to mind all these people of our life. This is our equanimity meditation, and also a meditation on impermanence. So bring to mind the ones you love, your very dear, dear, dear ones. And then there's our strangers. And then there's these people in our life we don't like so much, or we have aversion for, or we just don't really trust them, or they feel a bit creepy to us in some way. I don't know. It's usually, most often, karma. Karma. And these relationships that we have, they're definitely not stable. I mean, they don't ever stay the same. And they can also be interchangeable. And I guess that's why we have divorce courts. So if any of you have been through something like that, you'll know that your relationship changed. It's not always acrimonious either. Sometimes it's just like people drift apart. Things change. Karma changes. And then regardless of how we feel about any particular person at any particular time, or any sentient being at any particular time, just recognize they're all equal. Even those poisonous spiders that we don't want in our house or in our backyard, they're all equal. They all want to be happy. They don't want to suffer, and they all have this extraordinary capacity for this enlightened mind. So we think that we'll do this practice, this purification practice, for the benefit of all these beings of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. And you may have a person in your mind that you want to, motivate for as well. So this practice of Vajrasattva is in the context of the 4 opponent powers. And so this is grist for the mill for us. So we start by thinking there is no negativity that can't be purified. This meditation was based on Venerable Rabina put it together, and it's based on teachings of Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. Lama Yeshe would say we create negativity with our mind, so equally we can change that by creating positivity instead. So we purify by applying the 4 opponent powers, and we start with this power of regret. So regret is not like guilt. Guilt is like, oh, I'm such a bad person, did this awful thing, I'm really bad, I'm horrible. There's nowhere to go with that except down. But regret has a kind of a positive aspect to it in a way. It's almost like it's a pretty adult taking responsibility type of idea. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to say that even that moment of regret, when you've hurt someone and you regret hurting them, that in itself is purification. It's just being honest with ourselves. It's taking responsibility. It's being kind of adult. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in any of our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general, regret all. And the reason we regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. We cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we might experience. And we know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So we think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, if you have vows, because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And we can just also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, well, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to this power of reliance, and we turn to this Buddha Vajrasattva, who we don't necessarily see as a higher power. We're not looking for him for forgiveness. We're just looking for him as a doctor who has these methods that we can purify. And we're purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine. So it's almost like this purification practice is almost like a healing practice, a practice of awareness, a practice of healing. So imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head, and he's facing the same way as you. And this is a very detailed tanka. I've actually got it behind me. And if visualization is not your shtick, if it's not something you're comfortable with or familiar with, you can just imagine a ball of white light. I mean, it's the same. There's a lot of detail there. But you can still think, listen to the words. You can imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. You can also imagine he's made of radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has a beautiful, radiant face. His eyes are long and they're peaceful. They're shaped like lotus petals. And they're full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. And he has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. And his arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two, and this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. So we say a little refuge prayer. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So there's another little section under this section of reliance. So the first one was refuge. We rely upon Vajrasattva. The second is relying on other beings to develop compassion. So think about people you've harmed recently, in the past, and then in general, all beings we've ever harmed since beginningless time, and have a strong wish for them to be free from suffering. This is compassion. And then think about those people who've harmed you and have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to end up as suffering for them sometime in the future. And the future is never certain. The timing is never certain. Could be very inconvenient. So you just kind of think, rather than thinking, oh, great, they're going to get what they deserve, that's not particularly the great way to think. The way to think would be, oh gosh, I don't think that's a great thing. I don't want them to suffer. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for all these beings, and then think, I must purify for their sake. And then we come to this power of remedy, and this is the medicine, doing the practice of purification, and we start with purifying our body. So imagine Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white light, nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And this this nectar kind of arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of all of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anarakta meboa, sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me, sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagawan, sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe, vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, vajrasattva dina patita, Jita meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me, sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagawan, sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe, vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, vajrasattva dina patita, Jita meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. I'll be delighted any harm you've done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is this purification of our speech. And imagine Vajrasattva very happily sending powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech. And this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. And it overflows quite forcefully. So Lama Yeshe used to say, you turn on a tap in the sink and fill up a dirty glass, like maybe a glass that's had milk or yogurt in it, and all that kind of the junk in the glass comes to the top and overflows. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to talk about it being the force, enough force to blow a hat off the top of your head, like the wind. So imagine all the gossip, all those times you've gossiped about people, talked about people behind their back, got other people to agree with you. Yeah. And a harsh speech. You've yelled at someone or said something unkind. Useless speech. Lying. Or inappropriate speech. That sometimes you just lack the wisdom to know what to say at the right time. And imagine all of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra again. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jido Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jido Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. And now feel so happy that your speech is completely purified. And imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech. And that includes yourself, because you will hear it. Next is this purification of our mind. So imagine Vajrasattva now very compassionately sends powerful beams of light this time from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So it's just the same, you walk into a room and it's dark and you flick on the switch. So we imagine this in the Shakyamuni Buddha meditation as well. And the light that comes instantly dispels the darkness in the room. So you imagine the same here. The moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachment and neediness and anger, bitterness, grudges, depression, resentment, jealousy, anxiety, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra again. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trido Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trido Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hompe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita trida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe. And be delighted that all of your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And think now that there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And next is this purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. So this time imagine the Vajrasattva sends light and nectar and it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness. So it's like, you've taken a garlic out of a jar and there's still the smell there. So you sort of still got to remove that smell. You need to give it an extra wash. So same thing here. We're really working at a quite subtle level here. We're working at an energetic level here. So we're talking about removing imprints. So there's no chance for anything to come back. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tathagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tathagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tathagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tathagata excuse me Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tathagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe And now feel completely purified. Not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. Excuse me, I'll just take a sip of water. So the fourth and final step in the purification process is the power of resolve. It's really crucial, this step. It kind of backs off this idea of regret. Because once you regret something, you kind of, it's almost implying that you're going to do something to change. So we just kind of have to decide. We have to be determined that we don't want to harm with our body, our speech, and our mind. And without making a decision like this, we're just going to keep doing the same old stuff over and over again. We have these habit energies, as one of my Tai Chi Chi teachers used to talk about. So this determination, this aspiration to refrain from harming becomes like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in new directions. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to talk about everything exists on the tip of the wish, the aspiration. Actually, he would say the tip of the wishes. So, you know, we do have habits, so we might not be able to commit to never do anything again, you know. So it becomes like a New Year's Eve resolution that lasts until January. So, you know, Rinpoche would say, don't lie to yourself about what you're going to do to change. Just think carefully and decide to refrain from something, maybe for a minute, maybe a day, maybe perhaps a year or a month or a week might be too ambitious. But start by, you know, we've all got some form of phone or watch or something. So set yourself a timer, or even if you don't have, write down a piece of paper. I'm going to stop at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for 1 minute and meditate on something I'm wanting to refrain from. Then maybe you have a habit to, I don't know, gossip. So you're with someone, you're having a coffee and you're dying to tell them about this thing. You want to spill the tea. And then you remember your Vajrasattva practice and you're like, okay, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. And that's amazing. You've purified right there and then. That is purification in itself. Just refraining from doing something like that when you've promised yourself you weren't going to do it. So even if you know you have a friend, for example, that you love to chat with, you love to gossip with, they've usually all this great goss, you have great goss. And then maybe you just find something else to talk about other than other people. Because how would you feel if that was you having your private life splashed all over everywhere or being made fun of, or kind of hurts? Doesn't feel nice. So I think, and I'm focusing on speech because I think it's the thing that we are mostly, we mostly do. We mostly harm with our speech, I think. We don't go out kind of knocking people over the head, punching them in the nose, or, like that. It's mostly our speech. So we think about that. Think about something you do. Then rejoice. Particularly, everybody, well, most everybody here has come along for a whole, almost like half a day, basically. You've stayed in retreat mode. You've kept your commitment to do this retreat day. You've finished this component of the Discovering Buddhism. You're now up to number 3, which is Lamrim, basically. So congratulations, rejoice in your efforts. You've got this far. So this determination to not do things, to refrain from doing things, kind of creates some guardrails for us, gives us some strength to change. So here we conclude, and Vajrasattva is delighted with us, wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown, and you think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. And Lama Yeshe would call that union oneness. He had some very interesting ways of using the English language. And so Rinpoche would recommend to meditate on emptiness. So at the end of a practice or at the end of a day like this, it just kind of helps to seal the merit, Rinpoche says. I kind of imagine it's just like putting a bit of glue on something, I don't know, or like nail polish over something to protect it. But Rinpoche would say, in emptiness there is no I, the creative negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level your mind understands emptiness, place it there for a little while. You may have never even heard the word emptiness. And we can just think of all the things around us, all the phenomena. It's all empty. It doesn't exist from its own side. We misunderstand things all the time because we don't know really what's real. And think maybe the way things are appearing to me, the way I see this interaction, the way I read that email, maybe that's not the way it truly exists. So we can dedicate. I'd like to do some not proper, but the traditional dedication prayers. We can chant those. I'll bring them up in a minute. But let's just dedicate this positive energy you've created doing this practice, this purification to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this Vajrasattva practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. So now, before we dedicate the whole day, anybody have anything they want to ask? Anything about that practice or the Shakyamuni Buddha practice? Anything you want to share? Please don't be shy. All right. Oh, hey, Shayla, thank you so much for hosting for 4 hours. Okay, we've got Robert and Jennifer. Who put your hand up first? I didn't see. Jennifer, I can't see your face. I just can see it. There you go.
I was wondering, do the practices of the Vajrasattva and the ones of the Buddha, I'm currently doing a Chenrezig at home.
Uh-huh.
Um, do those practices like really make a big impact on the mind? I know that I feel better when I do them, but should I be doing more is what I'm asking. Or are they a good enough practice in and of itself?
Do you have a teacher?
I do, but he's dead. But I do work with a
Oh,
meditation. I do work with a meditation teacher a little bit.
mm-hmm.
Um, it's
Is
not
it,
really, yeah. So
so one of the things to do would be if you're wanting to do practices in this particular tradition, like Chenrezig, Shakyamuni Buddha, whatever, a good idea to start thinking about a teacher within this tradition, um, because then they can guide you. They've done all the retreats, they've done the practices themselves, and they know how best to guide you. You know, the Sanskrit, it's like a first language, and the mantras that we're chanting impact us in ways that we can never imagine. It impacts you on an energetic, on a energy level, on a physical level, and they even just chanting itself, uh, whether you're singing or chanting, impacts the vagus nerve. So I think there's many physiological, psychological, energetic benefits from chanting, but also definitely if you have a practice of Chenrezig, um, just keep going into it deeper and deeper, and then think about finding somebody who can guide you. Like, where should I go next? If you want to do that, you might just be happy with
yeah,
that. And you're very
I like
welcome.
the medicine Buddha and the Vajrasattva as well. I've been doing a couple of those here and there as well to add to the Chenrezig.
Do you come to the morning meditations and the evening meditations through Tupta
I
Norbali?
haven't, but I've been listening to it at a later, like at a different
Okay.
time. I haven't been going in person.
You're very welcome to come along. We do the Vajrasattva 5 nights a week, and we do
Yeah.
like either Tara or Chenrezig Medicine Buddha in the morning. So you're very welcome to come and join us and just see how you go from there. Anyway,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Robert. Okay, thanks. Robert, hi. Nice to see you again.
Hey there. Hey, in other traditions, we see more walking meditation,
Mhm.
and I don't hear anything in this tradition much about it. Not really concerned about it, more of a question. And also, with Zen, maybe there was more of you count your breath and you go to long periods of maybe no thought, so longer sitting with that. I don't see that in this tradition. Just kind of curious, maybe why.
I don't believe there is anybody that can meditate without any thoughts in their mind, honestly. I just think it's impossible. And you know, everybody has different karma with the different lineages. And I did try a Zen meditation retreat once, and I just found sitting, facing, staring at a wall just wasn't really my thing, you know. So I've you know, it's interesting too because the Japanese culture, the Buddhism that is in Japan is very much influenced by the culture. And you'll see that they're very kind of, they keep everything very simple, very clean. It's very ritualistic. So we have um, a Zen Buddhist center here that I've done a few retreats at with my yoga teacher friend Linda. And one day we went into the Gompa, and they were doing a lot of things that I had no idea what they were doing. But apparently you have to bow this way so many times correctly. There's certain ways to have tea. I mean, it's interesting. And so there's that. You know, when I've led the meditations at Kopan Monastery, we did include some walking meditation. And it's not included in this module, I noticed from FPM. And I was going to suggest, actually, but I didn't. I was thinking about if I could take you on my iPhone up the road into the forest and do a walking meditation with you all, but I decided it might be a little complicated. But there is room for walking meditation in our tradition, but it's not really practiced. That's more, again, of a Theravada tradition, and it's about being mindful. So you can practice it if you wish. You just have to be mindful of how you move through your feet. It's a good one to do on the beach in the sand when there's not too many people around. And then just be aware of your environment, of everything around you. So, yeah. I think, our minds are constantly moving, and it's the best thing I think that we can do with our mind is calm it down and just not allow the junk to get in there and start influencing us, because we can just, we have so much, we have a lot of imprints from many, many lives, and bizarre things just pop into your mind all the time. That's why they say you should be a little bit careful about the diet of what you watch, because it goes in and it stays there. It's like once it's in, it's in. So, they have that saying, I can't unsee that. I don't know, is that helpful? Does it kind of give you some resolution of some kind?
Yeah, that's the kind of more Theravada tradition is what I'm used to.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Actually, I came across your YouTube account, I think January or February, somewhere there. I was curious and
Oh,
so I thought it was
oh,
very fascinating. I'm like, this is nothing. I'm not used to this. I've never seen this
right.
done before. And I feel like over time things changed differently versus where there was always concentrating on the center point of the breath, maybe an embodiment of the Buddha and the principles seemed to penetrate more. But I'm very appreciative that you guys are out here doing this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
So
for coming. It's always lovely to have you.
yeah,
Yeah. And, I started out in the Theravada tradition. When I was in my 30s, I was doing the Vipassana courses. They have these
uh-huh.
10-day, extremely rigorous meditation courses. And meditation isn't taught that rigorously in this particular tradition. Like, you don't get locked away for 10 days and told to
Yeah,
sit and not move. Well, we were allowed to move. Our teachers were Burmese, but they were tough, really, really tough courses. You sit the first 4 days, focusing on the breath. That's all you do, breathe in and out, and focus on this spot at the base of the nostril. You do precepts. And then on day 5, you start this impermanence meditation where you start to feel the sensations in the crown of the head, and you're supposed to control the focus, crown of the head down to the feet, back up again. And some people do lose the plot in those meditations. Sometimes people start to see fairies in the trees and all kinds of stuff. Um, so you have to be a little careful, I think, with those 10-day courses. And there's different traditions. Goenka in India, you enter a Goenka course in India, you are not allowed to move once you sat down for a whole hour. So better be comfortable when you sit. So I don't know. It's I think our tradition, in a way, in some respects, we're much stricter, but in other respects, much more relaxed. So I guess it's a cultural thing, it's a karmic thing, and everybody gets the same place in the end. The finishing line is the same. It's just the journey is slightly different.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Did anyone else have anything they wanted to ask or share? Kevin, nothing? No? Okay. You guys are so shy. Samantha, everything okay with you? Good. Matt, you're good? Great. Jennifer's good. Kimberly, I hope you're feeling better. Thank you, Alice. Thanks, Karen, Cynthia, and Beth. And so I'm going to pull up the final dedication prayers. Where have they gone? These are traditional Tibetan Buddhist prayers. Okay, where are they? Okay, I'll share these for you guys. Hang on, this. Okay. All right, let me just share this. So you can chant along if you like, or just listen. Jang chub sem chogrim poche ma ke panam ke gyurchig ke panyam parme pari gong ne gong du pelwar shog. And then to realize emptiness, tong ni tawa rinpoche, ma ke panam ke gyurchig, ke panyam parme pari, gong ne gong du pelwar shog. And then for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Gang ri ra wei kor wei jing kam dir pendang dewa malu zhong wei nei chen rei zing wan tenzin gyat so yi shape si te baradu ten gyur chig. And then we always say, because our teacher Lamso Rinpoche passed away, so then we request a strong wish for the reincarnation to come soon. And then if you have any of your own individual teachers, just make a strong wish for them to live long. Even if it's just your yoga teacher, your Tai Chi teacher, they're giving you something, helping you in some way. So request for them to live long. And then, in terms of what it does say in the text, I just wanted to remind everyone, in order to make progress, you need to be consistent, or at least somewhat consistent. So the interesting thing for me about this Vajrasattva practice that we've been doing 5 nights a week now for almost 4 years is that people keep coming back over and over again. We do the same practice every single night. And I just find it amazing that everyone's coming back. But the consistency and the flow, it starts to kind of get into your system, and it sort of stays there, and people are finding benefit from it. So it's just an example. And it's so if you have your own personal practice, even if you're only doing 2 or 5 minutes a day, try and make it at the same time, on a daily basis. It becomes like a habit, like cleaning your teeth or something like that. And we wouldn't think about walking out the door without any clothes on or having a shower, so it's the same kind of thing. And I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes I run out the door and it's like, oh, I didn't do this one or this one. Anyway. And you can also do, if you're a super busy person, you can do, I know Venerable Robina does this. I do this sometimes. I've recorded a lot of my practices on my phone. And then I go for a walk. I put my headphones in my ears, and then I do my practice as I'm walking in the bush or the forest, whatever you call it here. So that's another way you can practice as well. If you're someone that can't sit still or doesn't like to sit still, or it's difficult for you. And also, have a place that's conducive for you to practice in. Like, you don't want to be meditating while the television's on or something like that. Maybe you have a little space that's yours, a little office space that's your own. Anyway, just a few words of, traditional advice. And I wanted to thank Shayla particularly for spending an afternoon or a whole day, half a day with us. It's almost gone here. And thank you all so much for coming along. It's lovely to meet you, lovely to see you. And I look forward, hopefully some of you might turn up to our Vajrasattva practice. And all the very best for the rest of the course. And maybe, I don't know if they're going to ask me to do 3, but we might see you again next month or whenever the next one is. 6 weeks time. I don't know. Okay, everybody. Lots of love. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't worry too much about the election. Try not to. It's nothing we can do anyway. Okay. Well, if you've already voted, but if you haven't voted, go out and vote. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable.